Hey, hey, GW coming to you live. For those of you who watched my other video about the bad doctor visit, I had just gotten back from that facility today. As you guys know, I mentioned that on the 29th I would be going back to sort of, I guess, for lack of a better word or lack of a better phrase, right the wrong that happened to me. So I'm going to break it down and tell you what happened between that last doctor's visit and this doctor's visit. This one wasn't really a doctor's visit. So my primary care doctor is was sick, and so I had already taken today off. And they called me and they wanted to reschedule. Well, I didn't want to reschedule because then that means I got to take another day off work, yada yada yada, and everything is turned up in the air. So I uh, I said no. I said, what do you guys need me to do? Because I've already taken the day off and there's no sense in rescheduling it. And they said, well, what you can do is you can come down here and sign a paper. It's a controlled substance form, whatever. Basically, if you take any pain medicine, any sleeping medication, any sort of long term, medicine that's quote unquote addictive, if you will, you have to fill this form out or they want you to go for test after test. So, my original appointment was supposed to be at 8 o'clock. I mentioned that in the previous video. And I called down there and I had to have a meeting with the office manager, who was really, really awesome. Very awesome. Um, she was very friendly. But before I even got to that meeting, I stepped in. I was a couple minutes late, maybe 15, 20 minutes late. Because I figured, you know what, her meeting would get done early. Maybe we could talk, this, that, and the other thing. And I know that this woman had a lot on her mind, even dealing with me after her meeting. And I know that the last time that I called, I had mentioned what I mentioned to you guys in that last video, and she had to handle it. And I know it was the right thing to do, but I also feel bad that she had to do that, considering she's a great woman. So I go down there, and the secretary who threw the paper at my wife and told me, "You better go get your lungs checked." She was at the front desk. I didn't say anything. I just took a seat, and I was about 10 minutes early, roughly. And I says, I said, I'm here to see Rita, the office manager. "She's in the meeting." I can wait. Now I know where she's at, so I can play her game. So I'm like, whatever, I can wait. And I know she was mad. So she gets up out of her chair, she goes back, and she knocks on the door and she says, "He's here." Well, yeah, I am. I'm here. Deal with it. So she throws this controlled substance form over the edge of the window and she goes, "She would like you to fill this out." So I simply stood up in front of the two people that were in the doctor's waiting room and I said, "Look, Rita would be here, and I'm not signing anything until she's here." "Fine." So went ahead, sat down, and within about 10 minutes, I met Rita. And Rita is probably one of the coolest people I talked to, because before I signed this form in front of her, we talked a little bit about this, that, and the other thing. And she, unlike the other doctor that I seen, made me feel like I was wanted, like everything I said mattered. She treated me with kindness, I guess you could say. World of difference from the other doctor. And I'm still ticked off at that. And I hope to God I never see that woman again in my life. But that's another story for another time. Or maybe you guys already know that. So I'm driving home and I'm thinking, you know what? Rita was pretty cool, you know. And at the end of the me signing the paper, I had asked her, I said, "Look, if I have any issues," she goes, "You are more than welcome to call me." Now I came in dressed like this, I got the MJF shirt, I got the jeans, and I have the I don't give a shit attitude. And she looked at me and she never judged me. She treated me with respect. And we made a few jokes, small time jokes. And you know what? She was pretty cool to talk to. So I was actually sitting in the waiting room. My adrenaline was high. My blood pressure was probably through the roof because I was ready to fight, you know. But that didn't happen. So, hey. But maybe that's a good thing. So I drove out of there for the first time since my initial visit, and I felt pretty good. So that's that. Today too, if you guys have Max, the Meg 2 is streaming on there. I guess it was on there since midnight. I had not checked that film out. I plan on watching that film here today in a little while to sort of give you guys a review on it and tell you what I think about it. Because the first one I really did like. I really liked the Meg. Like I said, I have read some of the books. That there's a whole lot more they could do with it. I'm just hoping they don't take 3 books, cram it into a second movie, and that's what I'm going to watch. I hope it's more fleshed out than that. But so I'm going to give you my thoughts on that probably later today. If not today, then definitely tomorrow. In the meantime, I have gotten some horrible news. Some of you guys listening have, you guys know me pretty well. You guys know my family. And for those of you fans out there who don't know, I have a 98-year-old grandmother who, up until, I would say, Memorial Day of this year, has been independent, in great health. She kicks tail everywhere she goes. She's smart as a tack. She is one of the most beloved women I have ever known in my life. And recently she's been in and out of the hospital and in and out of our local rehabilitation facility here in Butler for various things. And her biggest fear from when even she was, maybe 15 years ago, she was afraid of living in an assisted living facility. And yesterday I'm at work and I call mom, because I always touch base with my mom, and I don't tell people to do that, but somebody had told me that too, that, sometimes just saying hi or calling your mom means the world to me, to her rather. And so I try to keep in contact with mom just to say, hey, what's up? This is what I'm doing. How you doing? Okay, catch you later. Mom had told me that the medical board of the rehabilitation facility here recommended she stay in an assisted living home for the rest of her life. And when you hear an announcement like that, it's almost like a gunshot goes off and you're stunned and you're shocked and your heart drops to the bottom of your stomach. And then you realize that what you heard isn't really something your mind made up, it's true. So now comes the long struggle of getting that situation situated, as well as dealing with it. And my wife has known firsthand what that is about. And I am probably going to look to her for courage and strength and, compassion, I guess, during this time. And it's not easy for everyone in the family because my grandma is the heart of our family, and there is nobody that can hold all the sides of the family together better than her. And when you take that central figure out of the family dynamic and somebody who's been a part of everything, Thanksgivings aren't going to be the same. Christmases aren't going to be the same. And it's going to be a different sort of family environment. And the thing that scares me is I know that there's not a lot of people in my family. There's a few that don't like me, and I don't really care. But I grew up and family, I treasured that. I loved getting together on Christmas. I loved staying up with all my relatives on New Year's. We used to have huge family reunions, 500 people, maybe, all coming along. And you see them once a year and you talk about this, that, and the other thing. I mean, people who've known me since I was a young little punk with a rat tail. There was always something magical there. And it's not there no more. And it's something that's going to be put in the past. And we're just going to have to move on and figure out another way. But yes, I'm pretty upset about it. And, it's been a rough couple of days. And it's really not fun. And the next thing I want to sort of address is that, my wife and I we have made it 16 years married, and that's not easy to say. And yesterday, she came home a little bit upset, and I was laying down with her in bed, and she's got her back to me, and I just had this thought pop in my head. You know what? That I'm only the way I am because of her, and it's funny how most people take things for granted. Like there are people out there that go, I have a wife, so what? I can drink, so what? I have good health, whatever. But you have to realize, guys, that what if you didn't have that stuff? What if you were, in a hospital room dying because you drank too much, or you're sitting alone every night and you don't have anybody to love? You got to treasure that stuff, and made sense, but I'm not preaching. The last thing I want to address is that somebody had asked me about my ex-girlfriend, and am I happier with the woman I'm with now? Well, of course I am. I mean, me and Dawn have been married 16 years. She knows every part of me. We have done everything in the world as a married couple. And I am the most happiest because of her. On the flip side, my ex-girlfriend, me and my work buddy, are flicking around on TikTok. And I just happened to come across her. And I ain't going to name no names because I don't want any backlash. So I'm going to do it like this. The initials of our name are SBW. That's all I'm going to tell you. And I'm going to just address this and bury it, and I'm never going to bring it up again. Okay? So, Little Miss SBW, as we'll call her, I met her at college. I went to the local college up here, the community college, It was a little hot shot, and I got with her. And from the very get-go, her family was very, very strange. She had an older sister who was dating an older man, and their relationship was best described as in secret because SBW's dad didn't like the fact that they were going out. Now you got a picture. I'm a young punk. I'm going to do whatever. And I got with her and we started doing things, going out everywhere. And she was okay. I mean, I was getting to like her and love her. And I would babysit her sister's kids, and all this. And so she asked me, she goes, well, I really like you. Do you want to move in? I said, yeah. And I admit, guys, I was stupid. I was real stupid. I left my house, acres of land, huge woods. I mean, I left it all because this was going to be the one, right? This is going to be The one for me. Yeah, bullshit. And I say that, and I have no regret that I left her. I have no regret what I'm about to tell you. So I move out of my house, from the penthouse to the basement, as is like to call it. So I'm living in this girl's basement. I'm going to college, trying to make the best of myself. I still don't know what the hell I'm going to do. And my birthday is rolling around the corner. And she says to me, she goes, "Do you want to go out for your birthday? Just you and me?" I said, "Yeah, let's go." Now, I left my house on bad terms. And so we go out, and I said, "Where are we going?" She goes, "Oh, it's a surprise." Now, I don't do country western, and I know a lot of you guys do, but it's just not my scene. And nothing against you guys. If you like to just get up and, get drunk and, that's your thing. And God bless you, because I was just never brought up on that, which is one of the conflicts of interest I had with her. She had the Confederate flag hanging. I've learned to hate that flag because every time I see it, it reminds me of her. But that doesn't mean I'm going to yell at everybody hanging that thing. Just my views. So anyway, so we go out to this place called Ghost Riders. It's no longer in existence, and it's tore down. And thank the Lord it's tore down, because it was garbage. So it's just me and her, and we're sitting at a table, and I'm drinking some beer, long before I had my YouTube channel, long before I introduced the world, to introduce myself to the world. And I start drinking, get a good buzz on, it's my birthday, I'm going to get a little drunk, whatever. And SBW disappears. She goes, "I need to go to my truck to get something." I said, "Okay." Oh, I was hanging around. I knew a lot of people from college. I was mingling, talking to my boys and everything. And she was gone an awfully long time. So I'm like, okay, she went to her truck. Used to have a truck. I don't even know what kind, but. And me and my buddy's like, "Dude, you want to go see if something wrong with her? Maybe she tripped and fell or something?" I said, "Yeah." So we go out to the entranceway of this place, and she's in the parking lot. Her truck's in the parking lot, rather. And I'm looking in the truck, and there's this dude leaning back in her head going like this here. I said, "Okay. You want to cheat on me? Go ahead." Because I was so drunk, I'm not going to lie, I didn't give a shit. And go back in the place, drink a little bit more, and start hanging around with my college buddies, And I told them what had happened, because I was shocked, right? And I said, and everybody, all of them, was like, "Dude, you need to move in. Dude, come on down to me, live with me. Dude, you're the man, But it didn't feel right. Didn't feel right. It felt like I just wanted to go back home, and, well. So then I go out. My buddy gets me to go on the dance floor. She comes up and ain't acting like ain't nothing even happened. And she says, "What do you think about a three-way?" And I said, "What?" I said, I was just mad as hell. I was drunk as hell. Wasn't thinking right. I said, whatever. And I started thinking after she walked away, you know what? I have a lot of respect for women. But if a woman doesn't have respect for herself and wants to be the middle of a daisy chain, well, hell, that ain't going to work. You know what I'm saying? It's almost like, yeah, there ain't no way else to put it. So I said, whatever. She come back. He said, "Yeah." I said, "Well, how's that going to work?" And without being too graphic, let's just say I would have front, he would have back. Now you got a picture. If anybody has a girlfriend and they're putting in all the work, they're taking her to dinner, they're, helping her, they're giving her money, they're being nice to her, they're telling her, "I love you," that's an insult to you. And you're going to get the front. That's like second rate stuff, at least in that case. So my plan was to get drunk more than anybody could deal with it, because I knew if I didn't, I was going to say something or do something I'd regret, and I'd probably be arrested. So anyway, Ghost Riders ended up closing down at 2 o'clock in the morning. And I get in her truck. We're all drunk. Me, her, and this other dude who I'm not even going to mention because he ain't nobody to me. And we end up at the Clearview Mall, back of the truck dock. Well, I stopped there and I took a leak in the alleyway there because I was drinking so much. Cop chased us out of there. We ended up close to where I live now. And I drank a little bit. I was the only one drinking. And it surprises me that I did drink that much. So we end up in the local ball field, just sitting on the bleachers. And she's telling me that she wants to be adventurous and this and that and all this. And I'm like, well, that's great. But that ain't the way I roll. So I had bought her a ring, which I really shouldn't have done. I could have took my money, wiped my tail with it, and threw it out. And I gave it to her earlier that day. Well, I wake up. I fell asleep for a little bit. I just sort of passed out a little bit. I don't know. Well, he's standing in the back, this other cat. She's standing there with the ring in her hand. She goes, I don't want this anymore. You're garbage. You gonna tell me I'm garbage? I put in all the work. You gonna do me with the fact you want to sleep with another guy? Whatever. I'm garbage. Okay. She goes, we can still be friends. Been drinking all night. You want to be friends because I don't want to have group sex with you? Whatever. You know what I mean? Okay, fine. So she went to go put her arm around me and said we can be friends. I push her down the ground, which she's lucky that's all I did. He wanted to throw a punch at me. I said, you go ahead and it'll be it'll be the last thing you ever do. So his brother, well, where he lived, his brother lived too. So I ended up walking over there, getting him up. I said, look, drive me to Portersville. I said, we're getting my stuff. I'm leaving. Well, he got in trouble because he didn't call his parents. We drive back to her place in Portersville. I drive with him, this dude's brother. And we got to her place. Her parents, or her mom, wants to jump all over me. I didn't even give them the time of day. I was just like going down the basement, get my stuff, right? And got down there, and they used to do a lot of canning down there. So they had one of those big, cabinet things. So I've been drinking all night. And dude, when you drink, you have to go to the bathroom like 80 times, So I pulled that open. I went to the bathroom all through her canning stuff. I mean, everywhere. I didn't care. And I made it a point. I was like, I'm going to destroy something, right? So I did that. Got my stuff. She got yelled at for not calling. In fact, I think she got grounded or whatever, right? So I smell like a brewery, right? I got all my stuff with me. And I'm just mad at her. I'm mad at the fact that she threw that in my face. I'm mad at everything. And I had his brother. I was like, dude, can you drive me home? And I had like a 50 or something. So I gave him a 50. And I said, dude, just drop me off down the driveway. So I had left my house on bad terms. So I walked up. This was about 8:30 in the morning, maybe even 7. It was early. Probably I would say around like maybe 7:30. And I walk up the driveway, big old garbage bag, all my stuff, Had a cigarette in my hand. I was just all tore up, man. And my dad, who I'd gotten a really bad fight with, was sitting there, and I walked up through the porch, and you could see, and he was making eggs, and I knocked on the door because I didn't know if I was even welcome, right? He's like, come here. Now, I had said some really nasty stuff about Dad, and like I said, we had a real big blowout fight, and he sits down, and he goes, you look like shit. I said, yeah, I feel like it. He said, tell me what happened. I said, Dad, I don't even know what happened. I said, but I'll try, and I told him everything. And I said, I'm sorry, and I don't think in my whole life I was ever as honest as I was when I told him I was sorry, because for the first time I realized what home meant, and home And being loved ain't with some girl that wants to just sleep with everybody in the world. That ain't love. That's not a girl you can count on. I went back up to my room. I had all my ICP pictures. People who know me know I love ICP. My wife probably, she's sick of hearing all them songs, but I used to have pictures all over the wall, right? I had action figures. I had the whole thing. And I fell to my room, fell to my knees, and I just cried. And I cried one of them good cries, where you can't even see. And I I started to realize that she is a very toxic person. And long story short, she tried calling the cops on me and said that I vandalized her car and her truck, but you know, still free, brother. So that means I didn't do anything. In fact, at one point, I reached out to my dad reached out to an attorney and told them if they do not stop, then we will legal action. And I see the kid from time to time, and I don't even give him time of day because he ain't shit to me. I'm gonna tell you that right now. And as far as she goes, I heard she moved to Tennessee, but if you look her up on TikTok, she looked like something I threw up. And what the reason I'm telling you this story is because sometimes in life you meet somebody that can turn all that around. And shortly after that, I called my wife and we got back together, which I'm really glad she took me back, guys, because, I'm married. But it makes you appreciate the one you're with because, maybe you went through something similar like that and you're with somebody and maybe sometimes you don't say, hey, I love you enough, or maybe you forget. Like today, I dropped my wife off at work, had to go to do this thing with the doctor. I should have got out of the car and hugged her. And it's things like that that you regret. You know what I mean? And I'm telling you that story because I want to bury it from now on because I think I'm more of a person than her. And I would advise everybody that I know, do not watch her videos. I don't know if she talks about me or not. I don't care. Because people who know me know that what I say come from here, not because I'm mad or whatever. And I just want you to know, I do hate her with a passion. And I hope to God, I never see her again, just like that doctor. But the one thing I realize is that my wife is way different than her, and sometimes it makes you feel better. And I'm telling you what, my wife, she will not tell you this, but she is the most beautiful woman in the world. And sometimes when you see somebody that had broken your heart or messed with you, you just want to just grab them and squeeze them tighter, your wife or whoever you're with at that time. And I just, I don't want to keep going over and over it. And I know there's a lot of people that don't know what happened. And that was the PG version. And the reason that it still haunts me is because, it was such a traumatic thing. I had never had a woman treat me like garbage like that and then turn around and be so evil, right? I mean, I don't care. I mean, I'll tell you the truth. Since I left her, my life has been amazing, and I'm so glad. I am so glad that I was the one to sort of say, this is not how I'm going to be. Since I left her, I mean, I've gotten to know government people, tip top FBI agents. I got to meet movie stars, go on a cruise. I got to, uh, I got to do countless things that if I was still with her, I wouldn't be able to do. You know how messed up her family is? When you went to the bathroom in there, right? I got to put this out here because this is the craziest thing ever. Like at my house, my parents' house, you go in there for a little bit, you take a magazine, you know what I mean? You take your phone, you dick around on the phone, whatever. You were not allowed to read in the bathroom in her house. You were also not allowed to turn on the TV past 8 o'clock. Oh, and did I mention that if you watch Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 3, some of the family members in there were exactly like her family. I mean, they was messed up, dude. And, her sister, from what I can remember, never even kissed this dude, and they were together for about 3 years. Now, how messed up is that? But I don't care about the family. I don't care if they all go to hell. I don't care if she goes to hell. I don't really care. Because sometimes your life is way better because you stood up for yourself. And that's the realest story I could ever tell you. And people say, man, how'd you do it? Because at one point, when you're pushed hard enough, that's what you do. So you're never going to hear me talk about that again because, like I said, once that's on here, it's dead and buried. And I hope to God she sees this. And I hope to God she knows I still freaking hate her with a passion. And I hope she stays on the other end of the world. Because a woman like that is garbage. That's putting it lightly. But anyway, we're going to check out the Meg too. We're going to see what's up. And I appreciate all my 52 subscribers. I just want you guys to know that. So, it's GW. Better than you, baby. See you on the flip side.